Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 517, which means we're only a few weeks away from episode 520, which will be the, I guess, we'll call it 10-year anniversary. And wanted a quick note on that before jumping in, talking to the guys, and getting into the questions. Was a little bit of a sneak preview on what's coming there. I'm not going to say who, but we are going to have a couple of guests who are going to be joining us for Hump Day Hangouts episode 520 for the 10-year anniversary. So some special guests going to be joining us live. Looking forward to that. We're also going to be having some fun, definitely doing some giveaways and having some fun stuff happening for people who join us live. We may try to rope in you guys who can't make us live. We'll see what we can do. No promises there, but definitely if you join us live, got a chance of winning some good stuff. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some more announcements coming as we get closer here in episode 518 and 519 leading up to 520, which should be on, if make sure I did my calendar incorrectly, that will be on the 30th. So the last Hump Day Hangouts of October will be the 10-year anniversary. So looking forward to that.
And that works out because I believe the very first Hump Day Hangout was recorded in October 10 years ago. Like
I'll have to go
it's
back
still
and
on our
check.
YouTube channel, but I think the date was in October, so that makes sense. And because I think in the last 10 years we've only missed like 2 weeks, and those were scheduled weeks off or something. So it's insane.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and find some screenshots. We also got a couple other fun things we're gonna do. So, anyways, enough of that. Let's say hi to you guys, and then we can jump into questions after a couple quick announcements. So, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Happy Humptober. Um, yeah, busy as usual. Yeah, exciting projects coming soon. Let's call it that way.
Nice. And Bradley, how about yourself?
Busy, it's all hell, but what else is new, right?
Yeah,
But things are good. Yeah, things are good. The weather's really nice here. It's only 70 degrees and has been for the last couple of days, and which means the bugs are a hell of a lot less because it's been just awful for the last month. I know this time next year I won't be here, at least not in my RV anyway, because the bugs are so damn bad. But it's the weather's nice right now. This is a nice time of year. So
fair enough. Is it cooling down finally for you, or is it still
yeah,
hot?
it's
Okay,
only 70 degrees this week, and it's 69 degrees right now outside. So it's nice out.
nice. All right. Let's see. We've got a couple things. One real quick, just a sneak peek. Wanted to, well, I guess I'll share. This is one of my sites, but wanted to share a sneak peek. This mastermind members are getting access to Console Spy beta. We'll be rolling this out to more people really soon. This is a really simple, powerful, fun, cool little tool that we built based on some stuff that Bradley used to do in Search Console. And so basically the idea here being is a drop dead quick way for you to identify sites or pages rather on sites that are going to be close to ranking, like they're on page 2, page 3, they have impressions. So it's stuff you really want to go back, revisit, push up, and that you could turn into, great conversion pages, getting a lot more traffic. So we've got the beta in place. Mastermind members getting first crack, but going to be allowing some more people into that here later this fall once we get some feedback and get their feedback and are able to incorporate that and make it even better. So they are getting a hell of a deal. We're giving them a great deal and grandfathering them in. But you can thank them for all the bug squishing they do and all the help they do to make it better for you once you get access. So beyond that, let's see, we had a webinar on Monday. The replay is available. If you haven't seen that yet, that was with Massimo and 5-star reputation. Bradley has got a good intro on that. I'm just going to post the straight up YouTube link. You can go and check it out if you're interested. Go check out the software. This is really cool. He's got a lot of really neat stuff going on with his GBP tools. I don't know, Bradley, do you want to say anything specific about that or just tell people go check out the webinar replay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with what he's done with that. He approached us 2 or 3 years ago about promoting that, potentially
Yeah.
promoting it to our audience because at the time it was almost exclusively just a reviews reputation building software or application. But since then, he's added in pretty much all the stuff that I teach in the Google Business Profile Optimization SOP. Like literally, he built a whole nother section um, of the app into the app that is specifically for GBP optimization. And there's tabs inside the application, and each tab is for literally like one of the things that I have recommended in SOPs for Google Business Profile Optimization. So it's basically like he took our SOPs and then built into the app like different tabs or pages, screens, whatever within the application that helps you to execute those standard operating procedure tasks or items, if that makes sense. And so it's really powerful because it's an app that will help. Remember, the SOPs are just instructions on how to do things, but this is an app that will help you to execute those things and keep track of what's been done and what's not been done. And so I'm really impressed with what he's done. And that's because, he's a real SEO, like that's what he does in his business, but he also develops software. So when he developed something, or when he developed this, I should say, it was based upon like actual use cases and not, a lot of times SaaS developers have an idea of something that would be valuable to a group and then they build it, but they might not be actually in that business themselves, if that makes sense. And so sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect when an app is developed by somebody that is actually, especially when they develop for themselves first, then it usually is very useful. You know what I mean? And so I think that he's done a really, really good job with this app. So it's a pre-recorded webinar, just so you guys know. The time difference was such that it made it too difficult to do a live webinar, but just want to preface that up front. Go check it out. Are we still live?
All right, got to unmute myself. Link is in the chat. So if you're watching live or the replay, you should be able to see that by now. I'll pop a couple other things up there, but that is, I think, everything. Oh, it is not everything I wanted to cover. We are going to be doing the DHA 3-day workshop. Bradley, can you remind people about that? I'm just making sure I got the dates right. It's going to be, that's right, the 21st through the 23rd at 3 to 4 p.m. each day. Bradley's going to be doing this live. And Bradley, can you give people the high level overview of that?
Yeah, so the DHA 3-day workshop is just what I call the intro to phase one. So phase one of the DHA program, or the directory hybrid agency program, is setting up and building the directory, the prospecting machine, the cold emailing setup, selecting an industry and then creating a brand around that industry. So like a niche specific or industry specific agency brand. Okay. And that also is the directory. And then, so this is the whole phase one program is what I'm saying. It has all of these things, all these components. It's selecting an industry, developing a brand, deploying a directory, starting to build lead generation assets, setting up the cold emailing app, and then initiating the cold emailing campaign, the outreach campaign. Okay. So that's the whole kind of phase one program. So building the marketing and prospecting machine. The introduction to the phase one, which is the DHA 3-day workshop, is really selecting an industry, creating a brand, and then setting up the cold emailing and starting the email. So it's full SOPs on how to do all this, how to set everything up, do it properly, warm up the emails properly. It's email sequences that are already developed for the directory process, etc. All of that is built into is given or provided on the 3-day workshop. So essentially, just so you guys know, the 3-day workshop is 3 1-hour sessions, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And all I'm going to do is kind of introduce what the SOPs are, explain what they are very thoroughly, and then answer questions about them. And then I assign those to you guys. And then the next day we assign the next batch of SOPs for the next step. I'm not expecting everybody to, within 24 hours, complete all those SOPs. I just want to do a 3-day workshop so that I can introduce them, explain very thoroughly what they are, answer any questions about them, and then make the assignments. And then it's up to you guys to, manage your own time to go through and execute those SOPs. But the goal here is to get you guys up and running so that you can see and get some of the work done, the foundational work done before joining the full 3-day program, or DHA program. Or, by the way, you don't have to join the DHA program. You can always just come join the mastermind and get all the SOPs for the entire DHA program without having to pay for the additional coaching. And so this is kind of a way to get you set up and running very, very quickly for very inexpensive investment that will start to bring consistent leads into your agency, which is what we hear is one of the biggest problems that most of our members experience, is that they have a hard time generating new, SEO client leads for their own agencies. And so this will help you to resolve that or solve that very, very quickly. I mean, I've been working on this cold emailing kind of side of things for my agency for 4 years now. And I use cold email outreach for multiple agencies, my own local SEO agency, 2 white label agencies. We also do it for LocalFury. So we are using cold email for generating leads for all of our SEO agency related businesses. And it works really, really well, guys. And so the 3-day workshop is specifically about selecting an industry, building it, creating a brand that will be a directory or a niche, industry specific or niche specific brand, and then setting up the cold emailing application, warming up the domains, putting the sequence in, configuring it, and all of that so that you guys can start cold emailing. So that's what the whole 3-day workshop is for.
Outstanding. All right. Anything else, you guys, before we jump into questions? Cool.
Nope.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm creating a short link that we'll post in here in a moment because there's a question about something that I'm just going to post. So, all right, so let me grab the screen. We got a handful of questions. The chat is quiet today. Where the hell is everybody? It's all right. So Ken Roberts had a question. Ken Roberts, haven't heard from Ken in a long time. What's up, Ken? How are you, man? All right, so the question is, I'm working with a national medical service product company. They have a main website that is being rebuilt from the ground up. They have a shopping cart on their website where they send customers when they are ready to purchase. They are locally in 30 plus cities throughout the USA. They don't have a physical location for customers to visit in each location. Their salespeople are only going out to hospitals and doctors. Okay. They now want to venture capital, or excuse me, now they now want to capture B2C customers through search in each location, which is a huge amount of business that's not being captured. We're fully building and branding a local site and ranking for each location. Here's where I'm not sure what is the best direction and repercussions. Since all customers are purchasing via the website, do I have a shopping cart on each website? That can be done, but it also seems to be a bad option from a management standpoint. Our client isn't excited about that either. The other option would be to redirect the customer to a single website when they click on purchase from each localized website. That makes the most sense. It seems to be the best option, but what does that do to all the localized websites pointing back at the same website where the shopping cart resides? Will Google spank all the websites for showing a connection to each localization? No, I don't think so. Because of all the reasons that you stated, it makes sense to me. Now, again, I don't do e-commerce, guys, at all, period. Okay, so I don't know 100%. My assumption is that no, that shouldn't be a problem. Because here's the thing, for a multi-location business, okay, which is what you're trying to simulate here, right? You would be building Google Business Profile locations and separate location optimized websites for each GBP area, right? So that would be similar to a multi-location local business or a multi-location lead gen business, whatever, okay, which is where you're going to have multiple locations. And what I recommend is that you have the main site on the root domain, right, which would act as kind of like a directory, general information site that then would have some page or something that would say locations or service areas or something like that, that then would be like a directory page that then would list and link to all of the individual locations, right? So GBPs, separate sites, subdomain sites, however it is that you build that out, which I would recommend subdomain sites because that performs incredibly well when done right. But then, you could have the shopping cart reside on the root domain as well, right? The e-commerce side of things, so that because it's all part of the same brand, right? I'm assuming they're all branded the same, that you don't have different brand names for each location. So if they're all the same brand, it makes sense to have a general brand website or general information site that would be on the root domain, and then having the e-commerce application or side of things built into that root domain as well. And then what I would do is just like you said, either for each individual, you could do one of two things. You could either have product, I guess it's e-commerce would be products, right? So product pages on each individual location site that then the buy button goes to the e-commerce on the I guess the product page to purchase on the main root, main domain. Or you could just have a products button or navigation menu on the local sites that then would take them to the main e-commerce side section of the main website where then they could select the product. So I don't know which would be the better configuration there, again, because I don't do e-commerce stuff. So I don't know if it would be better to have on each location product pages that then the button when click to purchase takes them to that checkout page on the root domain, or to just have a products, menu item or something that then would take them to the main root domain, which then they could select the product. I would guess it would probably be better on the local level to have product pages for each location site as well, because then it would likely perform better in local search if somebody was searching for product name plus near me or product name city, something like that, if that makes sense. But again, I don't know because I don't do e-commerce. So my assumption was that it would be fine. I don't think you'd get spanked for that though, because as long as it's all the same brand, you're not trying to manipulate anything, right? Especially if you're using subdomains of the root domain for the location sites, you're not trying to manipulate anything. You're linking to supporting assets, right? Or additional assets. So I don't think that would be any sort of a problem, because that's what I do with multi-location businesses now is we typically have on, and which is what I recommend for clients for consulting, et cetera. When they ask about, like I'm doing some consulting with a in-home caregiving company right now, a franchise. And they're in the process of redeveloping their site. And we just had a consultation call today, and then we've got another one for next week where I'm helping them to decide on what the best structure or configuration for the redevelopment of their franchise site and all of their locations. Should it be inner pages or subdomains? My suggestion and recommendations, are subdomains, because they perform better. There's a number of reasons why I recommend using subdomains, but the client is more leaning towards wanting everything on one domain. That's fine. It can be done. I think it restricts the SEO, the optimization side of things a little bit on a local level when you have everything on one domain. But either way, it can be done. And so, but the reason I bring this up is because for a lot of multi-location businesses that I've consulted with recently, that and plus a lot of my own projects, I do subdomain stuff. And the root domain, as in some cases, it's just a directory page. Go look at felling.pro as an example. Felling.pro is just a homepage. Well, it's a homepage. It's got a privacy policy page and a contact page, or a contact pop-up with a thank you page, excuse me. And that's all that's there. And that is the root. I know for most businesses, you're going to want to have like a full-blown website on the root domain, but that could be a general information site that then has, navigational elements that take people to the specific locations or to the specific products if it's got an e-commerce. And that shouldn't be a problem. Now, if you're linking to separate and unique domains for each location, then maybe that could cause a problem, because now you're talking about different domains and everything else. But again, I don't know for sure because I don't do e-commerce stuff, but typically when I'm doing multi-location stuff, it's either going to be all the locations are inner pages of the root domain, or they're all subdomains of the root domain, which is my preferred method, which means they're all extensions of that brand anyway. So interlinking between subdomain sites and the root domain site, et cetera, shouldn't affect anything because it's all part of the same brand. Does that make sense? So again, I don't do e-commerce stuff, but I do multi-location work for local business stuff all the time. And again, subdomain sites work best in my opinion. So each one of these individual location sites that you're building, I would recommend building them on subdomains of the root. And I can demonstrate why that's the case. Like I've talked about this on recent Hump Hangouts, but when you build links to the root domain, you can, especially with the subdomain types of sites for multi-location sites, what I recommend is building topical links to the root domain. And as long as the root domain is built properly with internal linking to the subdomain locations, et cetera, then it's going to push that link equity and topical relevance into all of the subdomain location sites, right? So you can build topical relevance and link authority with proper topical relevance to subdomain sites without ever linking directly to the subdomain site, because it inherits that link equity and relevance from the parent domain. And then you hit the in subdomain sites with geographic links, especially if they've got GBPs, Google Business Profiles. When I say geographic links, I mean links with geographic relevance or location relevance, because then it's already inheriting topical relevance, topically relevant link equity from the parent domain by hitting the parent domain with location neutral, topically relevant links, if that makes sense. And then the individual subdomain sites, yeah, you can hit them with topical links too, if needed, but you can inherit topical relevance from the parent domain so that you can reduce the need for over the number of links by just now focusing more on geographic links for the subdomain site. That's clear. And it works really well. And again, I can demonstrate, if we have time today, I might even demonstrate that today. So, because I've got The Felling Pro project is continuing to grow. I just got done chatting with one of my VAs who's in training. We're actually got a second VA in training now to build LLG sites or local lead generation sites for us, for me until they're done training, and then we will make that as a done for you service, available as a done for you service. And we're right now, since I've got a second VA in training for this, I'm starting to assign 2 LLG sites at a time for the Felling Pro project until they're done training, and then we'll start doing it for other brands as well. So, and it's crazy because the sites that we're deploying are starting to rank very, very quickly with no additional links, like right out of the gate. In fact, I'll just demonstrate this right now. Let's just do it. Here's an example. Now, this one has a couple of links built to it because I had changing the time frame. I had redirected from another brand name that had a GBP that I'm still waiting to get this one rebranded into Felling Pro, but it was so there is some link equity flowing into this one because of a redirect. But look at that, guys. This was for Albemarle County, Virginia, which is where Charlottesville is. And look at this, guys. This is this year. This was from August 7th is when. So we're looking at 2 months. This one site here is 2 months old, and I've not. This might be part of we might be building some links to this right now because I have an overall Felling Pro link building campaign going on, where we're just building links to the root domain and the homepage of the subdomain sites. So there might be a couple of links that have been placed in the last couple of months to this, but other than that, basically no links. Let me give you a couple of other examples just so you guys can see. Here's one for Maricopa County, Arizona. Again, we'll switch this to this year so that you can see the progression. You can see again, like, look at this one, guys. If I take a quick peek at this one, you guys can see, like, look at how this is, again, this was a month ago. This project was just deployed a month ago. This site was just deployed a month ago, and no links were built to this. And you can see, look at that. It's just growing, right? Look at all these green arrows. And I'll demonstrate why I'm pointing this out here in just a moment. But look at these green arrows, guys. See that? That's just proper on page, and because it's a subdomain site that is inheriting link equity and topical relevance from the root domain Felling Pro, right? So I can demonstrate that right now. Let's go into Justic. You'll see, okay, so one backlink has been placed to this now, which is, this looks like this was a, this was a geographic link. So this has one backlink pointing to this subdomain. That's it, one backlink, guys. And look at the topical relevance of this. The topical relevance from the one backlink that's pointing is coming from business/arts and entertainment topical category, because this was a geographically relevant link source, not a topically relevant link source. But you can see, look at the topical trust flow that is flowing into this subdomain. And there are no backlinks pointing directly to this subdomain anywhere that have that topical trust flow category. You see it? The only backlink pointing directly to this subdomain is coming from business, arts, and entertainment topical category. But if we go back to the summary, you can see it clearly has trust flow in the business, construction, and maintenance, home and gardening, and business/real estate topical categories, which are all relevant. These two being fully relevant, this one being partially relevant. Does that make sense? And so I'm just giving you guys some examples here of how these projects can perform very, very well when you build links to the root domain. Now, if we look at the root domain, you'll see why, right? We are building, oops, sorry, let me try that again, go to root domain. So here we've got a total of 72 links that have been built to this, for links from 72 referring domains, I should say. And you can see that this at the root domain level is because we are building links intentionally with the proper and appropriate topical categories. Because if you go look at the Felling Pro home page, which is just like I said, it's literally just a directory page right here. And we've got others that I need to add in here. But all we're doing is building topical links to this page so that then the topical relevance flows through to the subdomain sites without having to link directly to the subdomain sites. And then when we start to build links to the subdomain sites, we're building links with geographic relevance to help influence the local search better, right? Especially for those that have GBPs. So hopefully that's clear. So to answer Ken's question, and with a short answer, I would say I would recommend doing subdomain sites of the main brand. I would probably want to link directly to the shopping cart side of things on the main domain. And then it would be up to you to play around with determining and maybe take one site and have product pages built into the location site, the local site, that then the checkout button goes to the main site, and then maybe have another subdomain site or location site built where maybe it just has a button that goes directly to the root domain where then they can look at the products there. My assumption, which is only an assumption, is that having product pages on the local site would produce better results for people searching for product near me, product plus location modifier. If that makes sense. But again, that would require some testing. And I don't do e-commerce, so I'm not going to do the testing for you. All right. So just to be clear. Huzaifa, again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. A while back, you did an audit for my site on Hump and Hangouts. Could you send the link audit sheet by email? Thanks. Yeah, I thought I had, Huzaifa, but if I hadn't, I'll make a note of that. I thought I had replied to you and already sent that, but maybe I didn't. So let me just make a note real quick. Do that after the call today. Sorry, I gotta get up my handy dandy notepad. And the audit report. Okay. All right, I'll get that to you later today. Next, can you talk about LocalFury versus Kraken? SP says, well, LocalFury is a done-for-you service. Kraken is a self-managed service. There's also differences in how the signals are generated, how they're applied, all of that kind of stuff. Kraken is a self-managing CTR application. So if you know how to set up your own and manage your own CTR campaigns, and you can do it efficiently, which is why I stopped using self-managed CTR apps, is because it's just too hard, it's too cumbersome, too time consuming to manage properly when you have more than just a handful of clients. If you've only got a handful of clients, then you can do it manually all day long. But when you start having dozens and dozens or hundreds of clients, it's almost impossible to self-manage. At least it was for me and my team. And honestly, what we're doing with LocalFury signals, and I'm not trying to convince anybody of one way or the other. They're two different apps depending on what your use case is. Do you want to self-manage your own CTR campaigns? Then go with Kraken. If you would rather go out and do marketing and sales and generate more revenue for your business and more clients, et cetera, then you should have somebody that manages it for you. That's what LocalFury is. We manage, which LocalFury is mainly on maps. It does influence organic to a degree. And we can also manipulate search box, certain Google suggested search. If certain elements are done properly with the entity itself, the local entity, we can actually manipulate Google search suggest with LocalFury, especially if it's a published street address type of a business. And so we can do all of those things with LocalFury for you so that you don't have to manage it. That's what we do with LocalFury. Hopefully that's clear. Kraken is a good app. It works, but you have to manage it yourself. And I literally stopped doing self-managed CTR stuff because it became too difficult to manage when you have too many clients. So, once you get past a certain number of clients, And so that's why we started having LocalFury developed, is because I wanted a done-for-you service that makes it scalable for agencies to be able to use. Just so you guys know, LocalFury is developed for agencies. No, it's not really for just the one-off, the one and dones, the one-hit wonders, so to speak. It's not. We developed it for agencies to be able to scale. So some of you come in and you just submit one location. That's fine. We'll take you, but we have really developed it for agencies that have a lot of clients that want to scale because we self-manage. And when done properly, which we try to provide you guys with thorough instructions on how to prepare your projects to respond properly to signals. Problem is about 90% of people don't execute any of those recommendations. And so, we can't help people that won't allow us to help, that won't help themselves. Excuse me. Can't, help me help you, right? Help me help you. So Sam says, can you demo LocalFury? No, but we can give you a replay link from a webinar that we did last week with Simon Dadia from Chameleon. That you can watch, because I went through a demonstration as to what LocalFury is and how it works. So I'm going to put this in chat. This is the LocalFury replay. LocalFury webinar replay with Simon from Chameleon mode. And that just if you want to watch that, that is a just a webinar replay that demonstrates what we did, how the signals are like not really how the signals are generated, but the types of signals that we generate. Let's put it that way, and the type of results that can occur when the other elements are done properly. Just keep that in mind, guys. I can't stress that enough. No matter what we say about you should have these other things done at least to a decent level, we still get people that submit the most god-awful websites or terrible GBPs or the worst backlink profile or no backlink profile, and they expect signals to just perform miracles. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. So we try to be very, very clear about that now. And all of our marketing, anytime we mention LocalFury, you have to have the other elements done properly. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. There can be deficiencies. I demonstrate some of those deficiencies that I have on some of my projects that are performing very, very well. And I show that there are deficiencies. So it doesn't mean that everything has to be perfect, but you should, at least be 80% or above in optimization level across all 4 areas: entity, on page for the self-hosted site, on page for the GBP, and backlinks. You should have at least a fairly decent optimization level for each of those 4 components before layering signals on and expecting signals to be miracle workers, because they're not going to be. But when those other things are done properly, then when you apply proper signals, magic can happen. Okay. But it's only in tandem with all of those other components. You can't make up for lack of links or shit link profile or a terrible link on-page optimization or problems with the entity. You can't make up for all of that by just sending signals to it. Okay. Just to be clear. So it's not a magic pill, but it can work wonders if you have at least those other components done to a decent level. Okay, so go watch the webinar and you can get a lot more information. It's not a very long webinar. It's about an hour. All right. YouTube comment. These are always difficult to answer. If not all cities within a county, then homepage will be optimized on main city. Like Madison in this episode, I'm not sure what Madison, Wisconsin, I think. For lead generation website, EMD or PMD domain will be good. So I think the question here was talking about when optimizing a lead, or excuse me, a service area business type of website. If not all cities within a county, then the homepage. I'm not sure I understand. Again, it's always difficult to try to figure out what the context of the question is without viewing the video, and I'm not going to do that on a Hump Day Hangout. But I think the question is, if not all the cities are within one county, then will the homepage optimize on the main city? No, I would optimize for a regional level. If I'm understanding the question right, meaning I talk about how optimizing the homepage, you should be when it's a service area business, you should be optimizing the homepage of the site for brand first. Goddamn, guys, I wish you guys would listen, not you guys, but just the general SEO industry for local SEO. I mean, guys, I must do 5 audits a week minimum right now, and I have been for the last 6 or 8 weeks now. No joke. And I can't tell you how many projects SEO professionals send to me or submit to me for an auditing, and the homepage either doesn't even mention the brand name in the SEO title, or it's the latter part of the SEO title for the homepage. Think about that, guys. It's the homepage of the brand. It should lead with the brand. Like, guys, in local search right now, that is the most important thing, is branding. If you can get the brand right, if you can build enough strength and authority to the local brand, then it requires far less of all those other SEO elements in order for it to achieve top ranking performance. Which again, is why in the audits, we talk about entity analysis first. That's the first section of the audit, because if that is improper or not, Google doesn't, if the knowledge graph for the local entity or the branded location is not well developed, then you will need far more of the other SEO components. Better on page, better, more links, etc. for it to, and it may never perform as well as it should because there's a problem with the entity, the brand itself. Does that make sense? And so branding is incredibly important. And so if you have a service area business that covers a large service area, which most service area businesses do, at least especially in the contracting industries, what I always recommend is optimizing for the brand first. Then what does the company do in the broadest terms possible? And then where do they do it? And you reference the broadest location entity, the official location entity, that is all inclusive of the areas contained within the service area that the company, claims is within their service area. So if some cities within the service area aren't within and so just so you guys know, I think the context of the question was, for example, we were just looking at one of these, right? Albemarle Felling Pro. We'll just look at that one. So if you guys take a look at this, why I named these sites the way that I do is because Albemarle County, Virginia, these 5 service area locations are contained within this county. I've not been able to beat this control yet. For those of you that haven't been around, what I talk about is direct response marketing. Once you have the best performing campaign, whatever your best performer is, then you single variable test changes against that control. So you're always trying to beat the control. That's your goal as a direct response marketer. Well, we can do that in SEO, right? Figure out what the best structure is in a particular industry. Then we modify single variable changes to duplicates of that site to try to determine, does this change create a performance gain or loss? Does that make sense? Does it improve performance or hurt performance in search? And once we identify something that improves performance, then we try to duplicate that. And as long as it more often than not produces a performance gain, then I now include that into the overall, that becomes the new control with that new addition, new change, whatever. Does that make sense? And so I've not been able to, in the tree service industry, beat the performance of local sites when I optimize for a county on the homepage, and then all of the service area locations are contained within that particular county. I've got a couple of other tests that are in progress for targeting a specific city. And then also I've got one right now, the one that I was just talking about, my VA is currently, this one hasn't even been submitted for indexing yet, but that's this one here, Roanoke Felling Pro. This is actually targeting Roanoke Valley, which is a region in Virginia. That makes sense, because there's a couple of locations here that are not in Roanoke County, Virginia. So I had to go to the broader region. So to get back to what the question was, typically what I've been recommending is, because I've not been able to find a better performer yet, this is still my control currently, which is optimizing for the county on the homepage and then service area locations that are contained within the county. However, if this one here goes back to what I was saying, was if it is going to be where there are particular cities within the service area that are outside of a particular county, or outside of one county, it's more than one county, then look at what is the regional entity that contains that county and the other counties that have service or locations within that service area, right? So just as an example, what I mean by that is if we go take a look at, let's just go to Wikipedia real quick for Roanoke, Virginia. Roanoke, Virginia is a city that is within Roanoke County, Virginia, I believe. There's a Roanoke metropolitan area, and then there's also, where the hell is, there's Roanoke Valley, which is another one. That's this one. So there's 2 different kind of metropolitan areas, or regions, I should say. One is Roanoke Valley, which is a region that contains the counties which is Roanoke County, Franklin County, I think, and then something else. Roanoke metropolitan area is broader still. And so if you go to the community section in a region, so this is a region, Roanoke metro area is a metropolitan area, which is a region. Does that make sense? And so usually if you go to any sort of regional entity in Wikipedia, you can go to the communities tab and it tells you exactly what the cities are that are contained within that region, right? You can see this is a very, very big area. Roanoke Valley is slightly smaller, but the boundaries show, the areas contained within this county or this region are relevant because the areas that are showing on this site here fall within the Roanoke Valley. So I didn't need to expand as wide or as broadly as going to the Roanoke metro area. That makes sense. But I thought Roanoke, Virginia was in Roanoke County. I think it is. And I don't know why. Usually in the Wikipedia pages, it's listed right in the first paragraph. You know what it is? I bet you Roanoke is an independent city that is not actually part of Roanoke County, but Roanoke County, I think, surrounds Roanoke City. I think that's the case. But anyways, you can see under this, the same thing, communities in a county. If you click on communities, it's going to tell you the towns or cities, towns, census designated places, incorporated communities, unincorporated communities, et cetera, all of those that are within that particular county. And that's what I found to be so far the best performing configuration for a local lead generation or any kind of local service area business type site is so far the county level, and then optimizing for supporting locations within the county using the page, the town, city, town, census designated places, etc. Names within that county. But you could do that at the regional level, is what I'm saying. Again, this is a big region. And so you can see the communities here. These are all the communities that are contained within this region. Does that make sense? And there's a lot. Or the county level, which is this is a smaller region. And this is, again, the county level here. And if all of the locations that you want, let's say it's a big city, and you want to optimize the homepage for the city and then have supporting locations for sections within the city. For example, I was just looking at Scottsdale, Arizona yesterday for an audit that I was doing. So let's go look at Wikipedia for that. That's a big city, right? So if we take a look at this, guys, if you go to, I believe it's in geography under cityscape right here. Right here, this shows you that there are official names for sections of the city in Scottsdale, Arizona. So let's say that all of the service areas that it's a service area business that wants to cover a large city, and that's it. They don't want to go outside of the city. Then would you optimize the homepage? If I'm interpreting the question properly, would you optimize the homepage for that city? Yes, you would. Because then you would have supporting location pages for the various sections within the city, like South Scottsdale, Old Town, or Downtown Scottsdale. Those are synonymous. They can be interchanged. Central Scottsdale, which is also known as the Shea Corridor. So again, you could use Shea Corridor or Central Scottsdale as the location modifier. I would use one in the SEO title and the other in the H1 for the supporting location page, right? Then there's one for North Scottsdale. So there's 4 separate sections of the city that then the homepage could be optimized for the city. And then you would have supporting location pages for sections within the city. And you could even break it down further than that and then go do neighborhoods, right? Neighborhoods in Scottsdale, AZ, Wikipedia. See if there's a neighborhood page. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. And in this case, it might not, it appears like maybe, let's see, Scottsdale, Arizona, Wikipedia. There might not be one here. But sometimes you can just go and do neighborhoods in Scottsdale, Arizona, get rid of the Wikipedia, and then you can get a list right here. These are neighborhoods that Google has associated as being in Scottsdale, right? And so you could have, now you could break it out and have subpages for neighborhoods that are subpages of the appropriate section, right? So if you have, what was I talking about here just a moment ago? Say South Scottsdale, identify which neighborhoods are in South Scottsdale, and then you could have supporting location pages that are neighborhood pages that are subpages of the South Scottsdale page. Does that make sense? So that's how you can break it down to a very granular level for a service area business, guys, and have it done properly, right? So hopefully that's clear. But guys, leave it the brand, by the way, on the homepage, for God's sake. It's unbelievable how many projects I audit where either the brand isn't even mentioned in the SEO title of the homepage, or it's somewhere else in the SEO title, but it doesn't lead with it. Like, I just don't understand that, guys. That's how people go out and go by and poach traffic from competitors, because they go optimize page for the brand name and they outrank the homepage of the website for the actual brand. And I see it all the time. So Google is rewarding strong brands, guys, in local search right now. That is the tip of the spear, guys. Get that done properly. Help Google develop the knowledge graph for the local entity. You can do that through a number of ways. I talk about this in audits all the time. Google Business Posts, linking out the various product and service pages and location pages on the main site with Google Business Posts, and then linking to page URLs that have accurate information published about that particular business. Any page URL that's indexed in Google that has accurate information published about the local business should then be force-fed or spoon-fed back to Google, so that Google makes the connection that, hey, this is corroborating or validating evidence that this Google business profile, this local business provides these services. This reinforces how the GBP is optimized because it validates or corroborates it. So linking out with Google Business Posts with the Learn More button consistently to external page URLs that reference the name, address, phone number, and website, or some combination of those data points, is how you can force Google, you can spoon feed the data that you want into Google's knowledge graph for that particular local business. And you do that through links, direct links from the Google business profile, right? Why do people not do that? I don't understand. Like, I tell people, I mean, again, in Mastermind, I've been training about that for years. and still go audit properties, and people aren't doing it. They're using the call now button in Google Business Post. How many of you have ever received a call from a call now button in a Google Business Post? I bet if any of you even say that you ever received one, you can count them on one hand, I'm sure. Yet I see Google Business Posts being published with the call now button all the time. Why? That's wasted effort. Nobody engages with those, right? I mean, it's very rare if they do. So why not use those Google Business Posts to specifically pull things into the knowledge graph that you want Google to understand about that local business? So you use direct links connections from the GBP to do that, right? Same as attributes and schema. Reference all those page URLs. ID page, have a dedicated ID page. All of those things to help build strength and authority to the brand. Then it makes other SEO efforts easier. You'll need less links, less content, etc., in order to achieve better performance. So again, branding is critically important, guys, for local businesses right now, more so than I think it's ever been, right? All right, moving on. It's a good question, and I probably misinterpreted it, but I still ran with it. So moving on, Jared says, I have closed a business in the pest control niche with a website that has a lot of local authority rankings and age 10 years. I've opened a new business in the same niche and city. However, different name, address, etc. I know you recommend keeping the old website as a lead generation tool. However, I'd like to forward that domain to my new site to give it a boost as the old business is permanently closed. Would you recommend 301 the old domain to the new one, or do I need to do it on a page by page level? Example, forward spider control page from the old domain to the new domain's spider control page, etc. Well, that would be something that I'd have to analyze a little bit further to determine. The short answer would be, I don't recommend redirecting an old brand that has a lot of supporting assets, etc., to an entirely new business it wasn't just a rebrand of the old business. Like, in other words, if it's the same business that was just rebranded, then yeah, I would do that. But if you're talking about an entirely different business, then I would probably redirect to a buffer instead of direct to the money site of the new brand, the new site, the new business entirely, because it's not just a rebrand, it's a new business, right? So, and again, I would have to look at it to determine for sure what I would do. But the short answer, without more context, without being able to analyze that specifics more, I would say I would redirect to something like a G site, a mirrored Google site, right? We talk about the content mirroring method in Google Business, in the mastermind. Talk about this just so you guys can see. If, like, for example, we'll just use the Newburgh, Kentucky, which is part of the Louisville Felling Pro project. You'll see what I mean by content mirroring method right here. I mean, this is perfect, guys. Right here. So there's my Felling Pro site for Louisville Felling Pro. That's the Newburgh page, ranking for tree service, Newburgh, Kentucky, above maps, right? And what's ranking just below it? The mirrored Google site. This is exactly what I was going to talk. Now, I still don't know why this one page continues to rank for that search query. For a while, I thought it was because down here, the anchor text link, but for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. This site right here is the Google Business Pro, G site, Google site, sites.google.com, that was set up as a content mirror or site mirroring. That's what I call site mirroring or content mirroring. So you see that this is basically just a container. There's really very little content on this site. This is the content of the site. These are all iframes, embeds. So, and we have SOPs in the mastermind specifically for G sites for local SEO. And that shows how to do what I call the mirroring method, the site mirroring method. So that is where you create a G site with 1-to-1 ratio for the pages that you want to rank on the main money site. And then you embed those pages into the G site, right? Or you can just do a direct link. You don't have to do an embed. Sometimes, guys, depending on the strength of the domain that you're embedding, sometimes the G site can cannibalize the money site. Because if the money site doesn't have enough authority built to it, then the G site can cannibalize the money site, in which case you don't want to do an embed of the money site page. You would want to do a link instead from the G site to the money site page. It's a mirror, guys. So it's a corresponding page. In other words, you mirror the structure of the main website into a G site. And then if the strength of the money site domain is good enough, then you can just do an embed in the G site, and that's fine, because the G site is just a container. It's like a wraparound of the main money site, if that makes sense. And then you build links to the G site. Something like what you were asking about would be redirecting from a different brand entirely to the corresponding page on the G site. But again, if the domain strength, the authority, and I don't mean Moz's domain authority, guys. I don't even give a damn about that metric ever. But what I mean is the strength of the authority of the domain itself is not strong enough, then the G site can cannibalize the money site. So in that case, if that's the case, then I would recommend just doing a hypertext link to the corresponding page on the money site instead. And then you could do redirects to the G site. It's going to pass through the G site to the money site anyways, but it creates a little bit of a buffer so that you're not causing brand ambiguation or entity pollution between two different brands. Is that clear? So that's kind of what I would do most likely without any additional context. Okay. All right, moving on. How would you go about, Jared says, about ranking a local company with 8 locations, but a very small SEO budget of 1 to 2K per month? What would be the best? Where would the money be best spent? Well, it depends on how the website is configured for the locations. This is right in line with what I was showing you guys earlier with the multi-location stuff, and also with Ken's question about multi-locations in an e-commerce site. Is the 8 locations all inner pages of the main site? Are they subdomains or are they standalone domains? Because, you know, depending on what the answer would be, would determine on how I would recommend, what I would recommend doing. The reason I like doing what I do with these Felling Pro sites right now currently is because as I just talked about before, we focus on mainly topical links to the root domain. It's just this one page, right? And that pushes link equity with proper topical relevance to each of these subdomain sites. And then on the subdomain sites, we hit them with more geographic links than we do topical links, because it's inheriting the topical relevance from the root domain. And so if you have a multi-location site where it's all inner pages, then it changes things slightly, because it gets a little bit tricky when you start building links with geographic relevance to particular location pages as if it's all part of the root domain, because that can, I've experienced just some kind of strange things that occur with that. But with the subdomain sites, each subdomain site is treated as an individual site, right? Although it inherits link authority and relevance from the parent domain, Google treats each site as a separate site. And so since it's its own contained site, then we can hit it with geographically relevant links, and those are all relevant to that site, because they're, you know, that whole site is built around one specific location or service area. So geographic links that are relevant to that area would be relevant to any of those pages in that site. Whereas when you build geographic links to a multi-location site that all of the locations are inner pages, then that can pollute a little bit the location relevance of other pages, if that makes sense, other locations. It can, okay? Just I've seen some weird things occur with that. So that's why, again, that's part of the reason I like the subdomain sites. But the way that the question is asked, I'm not sure what the configuration is, guys, and that would change what I would recommend. But typically it's going to be, each location should have its own set of branded assets. I recommend usually its own ID page, location specific branded assets. So the overall brand can have branded assets for the brand that are location neutral. And then each location can have another set of branded assets, ID page, batch geomaps, etc., that are all optimized for that specific location, right? And then you want proper local SEO, or local business schema on each location, landing page for each location that then references same as attributes, has its own dedicated ID page, linking from Google Business Post to those branded and supporting assets from each of those separate locations. All the things that I just mentioned a moment ago, just to push branding, guys. Again, for a multi-location business, you guys should be pushing brand authority more than anything. And then it makes the other SEO efforts, you need less of the other SEO components if you push enough authority into the brand, which is what I was demonstrating here, right? I'm showing you guys that by building authority to the brand, when you launch subdomain sites or additional sites as part of that brand, right? So whether it's in the root domain or subdomains, it doesn't matter. Each time you deploy another site as part of that brand, it should perform faster and better, like a little bit faster and a little bit better. Because every single time you deploy another site, as long as you end up building more links and things like that, you're accruing link equity and authority and relevance to the root domain, which then the subdomains or subsequent sites that are launched from the same, or subsequent locations launched from the same domain, are going to instantly inherit that authority. Does that make sense? And so again, you reach kind of a critical mass or a tipping point where that's why I love doing these, because I can just show several examples of just the way that these projects are just growing very, very rapidly. I don't know if I showed this one, but if we take a look at this one, like this year, show you again this one, you can see, look at how it's climbing. And I don't think there's any links built to this one direct, right? So that's what I would do. Again, I would focus in on like build the foundation for the brand first for each location. I always recommend that, guys. So get branded assets. Semantic links we provided done for you. Branded asset service. It's $299, but it provides 15 Web 2.0s, all interlinked, ID page, batch geomap, press advantage organization page, G site, all of those things that are then interlinked. And those branded assets are then embedded or referenced within the ID page. And I would recommend getting that for each branded location first. Now you've got the foundational elements that then you could build links to. That's clear. If you ever need, we do offer competitive link analysis, Jared, where I can analyze that more thoroughly for you on a location by location basis if needed. You can always check that out. Val says, how safe is LocalFury for RGBP? It's safe. We developed it specifically. We stay on the conservative side of signals, guys, for a reason. We focus, again, this whole Hump Day Hangouts today has been about multi-location businesses and branding. And LocalFury, we push brand signals more than anything, guys. That's what I'm trying to, that's why I keep saying branding is so important. LocalFury is about pushing brand signals in the most natural and organic way that we can possibly do. And so we stay on the conservative sides of CTR. We do lower volume of signals, but it's the way that we generate them and how we're always trying to push brand signals so that we can build strength and authority to the brand. How many times have I said that today? Right? So is it safe? Yes. If it wasn't safe, we wouldn't be offering it as a done for you service. John says, can you do more audits on the live? I have a few sites I would like to have you look at. John, that is something that I typically recommend only, or that I reserve only for mastermind members. I did partial SEO audits for local projects on Hump Day Hangouts. I don't want to get into the habit of that, guys, because the problem is I have to take time to prepare the audit. I have to review the campaign and prepare the audit file, the document that then I present on these. And you guys aren't paying me for this. You understand? Mastermind members are. Mastermind members are paying to be part of our mastermind community. And so that is an offer that I provide to them as a benefit for being a member of our paid community. If you guys are free Hump Day Hangouts where we answer questions very thoroughly about SEO all the time and never charge a goddamn dime for it, but now you're asking me to then spend time outside of Hump Day Hangouts that I'm not being paid for to prepare an audit. And so unfortunately, no, I'm not going to do that. That is reserved for our mastermind members because it is a benefit for being in the mastermind. I do not want to set the precedence that people just can, expect me to spend all my time analyzing stuff for free. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. John, I'm not trying to be an asshole, just to be clear. Come join the mastermind and I'm happy to audit all of your projects as long as you're willing to allow me to share that in the mastermind, those audits in the mastermind community. Won't charge you a damn dime for it. Okay. If you want audits done that you don't want shared, then you can purchase them. Okay. Bert says, I ordered an audit a while ago, but struggle to fix all issues. Do you have a done for you service or can I just hire you to do it? No, we don't do on-page optimization we will provide consultation and instructions, but I learned a long time ago, I don't want access to other people's websites or their clients' websites. I don't want that. That's a whole can of worms that I don't want to open up. Unless I build the site, I'm not touching the damn site. No joke. So I will provide you with instructions on what to do, but I'm not going to do it for you. Okay. We do all the off-page work that you want, but when it comes to on-page stuff, I'm not doing it because I don't want access to your clients' accounts. None of that. Not only that, but I'm not. Guys, there are so many different WordPress builders and all that shit out there. Like, there's no way I could be proficient in all that. And I have no desire to do it either, by the way. So, no, I can't do it, Bert. You can try to hire somebody from, just post in one of the groups that you're in. I'm sure you're in a dozen groups. Try to find somebody that's competent. Send them the audit and ask them, can you do this one? Or go to Upwork, find somebody who has good reviews, hire somebody if it's WordPress, it's really good at WordPress, and then send them the audit, pay them to review the audit, and then execute those changes. It's not something that we will do for you. Unless we build the site, we're not doing it. Sorry, but that's just my policy. It has been for years. Brett says, do you have a course for how to do audits? As a matter of fact, we do. It's a full SOP in our community. Right? Let's go into my community real quick. We'll take a look at SOPs. Right here, other Flowster SOPs is the local SEO audit. So yes, we do provide training for exactly how to do audits. Plus, I show multiple example audits in the community all the time. Got one that I'm preparing today that we got a mastermind webinar tomorrow for one of our members named Andre, excuse me. And I'm going to be doing an audit review of his project tomorrow on the mastermind. So you can come join the mastermind and get the SEO audit SOP, or you can have me audit projects for you in the mastermind as long as you allow me to share that with the audit report with the community, and I'll do those for free. Okay. All right, last question, I think, and then we're done. And what about, of course, about doing the brand entity setup right? Yes, we do. Matter of fact, we do. So again, that's what's right here called Brand Builder. Well, that and the GBP SEO. So the Google Business Profile Optimization process right there and Brand Builder is really those two things right there. And then also we have the ID page. But the ID page, there's training for how to build an ID page in the GBP optimization SOP. This is a standalone ID page training for if you're using Yax, yet another cloud stacking software to create ID pages, which is how I do them now. So there's an ID. So that, and then Brand Builder. Brand Builder is how that right there is how you guys can, within 30 days, you can take over the top 2 pages of the search results for a brand search, as long as it's not a generic keyword name as the brand name. Just be clear. It has to be a name that can be a branded name. I just did an audit yesterday for a lead gen website in GBP that the brand name was a generic search query. And I told them right out of the gate, like, you're never going to have success with this. It's always going to be a difficult project because you can't establish this as a brand. The name was literally keyword plus city plus state modifier, state abbreviation. That was the brand name. That's almost impossible to recognize, to force Google to recognize as an entity, because it's also a generic search query, a local search query. So don't do that. If you have a branding name, Brand Builder right there within 30 days, and I can provide a money back guarantee to clients for that. We can, as long as the brand is a name that is not a generic search query, then we can take over the top 2 pages of a brand search within 30 days through that process right there. And that establishes a very well-developed knowledge graph for that local entity, which makes other SEO efforts easier. Hopefully that's clear. All right. Anyways, good questions, guys. I appreciate those. I think we're done. We can wrap up almost on time today. Only 3 minutes over. What's up, Rick? What's up, Craig? Yep. No other comments. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, quiet today.
Right on. Well, appreciate you guys. See you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.